Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. My name's Deborah. I'm your host. I'm pleased to be here. And today I'm going to talk all about alcohol. Now, I don't want anybody to think that I have judgment when it comes to alcohol and drinking. I'm not against alcohol and I do enjoy a couple of drinks myself. But I wanted to talk about alcohol and drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, whether that be on one occasion, whether that be frequently through the week, however it looks for you. And I wanted to talk about it from a health and wellness perspective. And as always, supporting the way that you want to feel. And I always feel slightly like I want to get a blanket and stick it over my head and cover myself when I address speaking about alcohol, because people roll their eyes or think I'm anti-alcohol or think I'm holier than thou. I promise you I'm not. And I kind of feel very fearful about talking about alcohol. And I really just wanted to get that out in the open to start with and say, I have no judgment. I have many friends who drink alcohol. I have no judgment. But when it comes to your health and wellness and your mental well-being, your physical well-being, the goals that you have, and as I say, and I say this all the time, how you want to feel, alcohol can really hinder that or impact that. And I wanted to just talk about it, especially as we are in a very sociable time of the year and alcohol probably is more present in your social events at the moment. And I wanted to talk about it. So I'm going to speak. Please don't shut me off. Don't stop listening, because this comes from a place of real understanding from working with many women, and many women who have active social lives and still enjoy a drink as part of their health and weight loss goals. I never tell anybody not to do anything, whether that's with food, food types, food groups, alcohol. I never tell any of my clients they can or can't do something. What I do is give them lots of education and understanding and get them to understand the impact of their choices and how it affects the way that they feel, the progress that they make, and ultimately just support their overall health and well-being. It's also been another year it's been a year since I started recording this podcast. I've hit my 1 year anniversary, but I also have another year of coaching experience. I've been online coaching for must be a good 3 years now. Plus, I've been in the health and fitness industry since I was 18 years old. I'm now 54. And I've been in the health and fitness industry a long time. I've worked with women for over 15 years exclusively, whether that be in the role of a run coach and working with women in that capacity, or as an online coach, or in the health and fitness industry since I was 18. And I feel like I have a lot of experience, and I work with a lot of women who have active social lives and love a drink. But alongside this, their active social lives and loving a drink, they were also struggling with menopause symptoms. They were struggling with weight gain and generally feeling unhappy in their body and themselves, and wanting to achieve their goals, but not recognizing the negative impact drinking excessive amounts of alcohol was having on both their physical health and their mental well-being. I had a client who, when she first started coaching, she made it categorically clear to me that she loved her weekends. They were all about the food and the drink, and that she wasn't going to change. And I listened to her, and, I listened to what she had to say. But this same client, 6 months later, made choices, not because I told her to, not because I made her, but because she began to feel empowered and understood more about the reason why she was drinking, how it impacted her, how she felt the following day, and the recovery time it took after drinking alcohol. And 6 months later, from making changes and making more empowered choices, she lost a lot of weight and she now exercises regularly. She nourishes her body with good quality food. She feels so much better. She has more energy. She has a better, more regulated mood. And she did reduce her alcohol at the weekends, but it was all from her own choice. And how she came to that was as we progressed through the coaching process and working together, she began to understand more about the reasons why that she was drinking and how it didn't actually enhance her social occasion in any way, and she no longer wanted to wake up feeling awful, eating crap the next day, and feeling wrecked for most of the following day. And alongside this particular client, I've spoken to a lot of my clients who, prior to coaching, loved a drink and they still enjoy a drink, but the way that they enjoy alcohol has changed. And considering my biggest demographic of women that I coach are between 40 and 60, typical menopausal age, struggling with low mood and low energy and weight gain, alcohol has a lot to answer for. And I asked my clients, a number of my clients, what led them to begin drinking earlier on in their lives. Why did they start drinking? Where did it come from? Because in this podcast today, I'm going to get you doing the thinking. But before I do that, I wanted to share some of the reasons why my clients were drinking and what changes they've made. And then I'm going to ask you a set of questions to help you reflect and think about the reasons why you drink and what changes you could possibly make. And I'm going to do that through this podcast. So my first response to the question, like, why prior to coaching, what did your drinking look like? Why did you start? And one of the first answers that I got was that this client started off drinking, experimenting as a teenager, which I'm sure many of us did. I know I did. And she soon realized as a teenager that drinking gave her so-called more confidence. And she drank socially because she liked the buzz that it gave her, and it gave her more confidence to speak to more people. And she felt like she was the most interesting person in the room. Another client has said, and I'm not going to comment on these are real people with real reasons as to why they started drinking, and I'm not going to comment on them, but I am going to explore and delve in a bit deeper. Another client said to me that in her 20s and 30s, she was known as the party girl, but she's realized that now she's in her 50s, she no longer wants to be that party girl. It's not where she wants to be right now. But often the expectations from other people and how they've known you from previous, they put those expectations on you. And again, I'm going to delve into that. Another client has said that she would always drink after a busy week. She would always sort of celebrate the end of the week by having a glass of wine with her husband. And it would often lead to a bottle or more. And it was usually repeated over the weekend as well as that Friday night. And at social occasions, she would always feel pressured to drink, even if she didn't want to, but yet she would find it really hard to say no. And I don't know whether you, the listener, can resonate with any of these things that I'm reading out to you from my clients. Another client has said that she was always a social drinker and she could happily drink a whole bottle of wine over dinner with friends. And if she was at home on a Friday or Saturday, her husband and her would always share a bottle of wine, and it would usually go into a Sunday as well. So alcohol would feature in quite excessive amounts quite frequently through the week. Another client would generally drink on all her social occasions. And before coaching with me, she would often have a glass of wine with dinner at home most days. And so she felt like she drank pretty much 7 days a week. And she admits that it was a habit. She felt that it relaxed her and made her feel better. Another client saw alcohol as a wind down. She would also watch a film and she would have a drink whilst watching the film and snack on treats and chocolate. And so often associates drinking alcohol with snacking. Now, you may be able to resonate with some of these points and some of these reasons why my clients drank alcohol. And like I say, and I really want to reiterate here, I do not have any judgment with any of my friends, with anyone I come into contact with that enjoys a drink. I don't have any judgment. But when it comes to my clients and when they get frustrated at their lack of progress, I do have to look at their weekend behaviors because alcohol tends to happen more at the weekends. I do have to look at their alcohol behaviors, and I do have to raise their awareness to the fact that their hard work during the week is often being undone by the habits that they've got themselves into on the weekends. And as I said earlier in this podcast, it's not that I say to any of my clients any of the time, you can't drink, you mustn't drink, you shouldn't drink that, why not drink this? I don't dictate at all. But what I do get is to give my clients much more understanding about why they drink and also what their values are. What do they want? Do they want to feel healthier? Do they want to feel happier? Do they want to feel more energy? Do they want to feel in a better mood? Do they want to get up on a Sunday morning and take the dog for a walk and have a spring in their step? Or do they want to be lying on the sofa eating food, that higher fat foods, because that's what often, in my air quotes here, soaks up the alcohol, because often it's not just the alcohol per se that affects the way you feel, but it's all the actions you take after. It's all the food choices you make after. It's all the things you do as a result of drinking alcohol that most likely don't align with your health goals and your weight goals and the way that you want to feel within yourself, the energy that you want to project and have. And often the reasons why we drink can mask what's really going on a deeper level as to how we want to feel. But perhaps it feels so overwhelming and so difficult to address that you just continue doing the same things you did, because facing the reality of making those changes is sometimes harder, and it often feels safer staying where you are doing the things that you're currently doing than making those small changes. And whether it's alcohol or whether it's food can often be the same. It feels safer just to do the same things and be in denial about what it is that you actually need to do. Now, I wanted to go on to what changes my clients have made, and I want to use it as an example of what they have chosen to do in order to bring down, whether it be the frequency or quantity of the alcohol that they now drink. And this has come about by their own choices. I get my clients to reflect on their choices. I get them to look at all their social events, pick and choose between the ones they really want to drink at, the ones that aren't so important to drink at, the ones that they might drive to and be the driver for a change. And they come to this realization and make these choices themselves. So one client has responded, I haven't stopped drinking, but I've reduced the amount that I drink. And now I might enjoy a glass of wine on a Friday evening with my husband, but I no longer need or feel the need to enjoy a whole bottle, because the first glass is always the most enjoyable and a bottle had become habit. And another client has written, I'm comfortable saying no now. And I think my friends have learned to respect that. My husband has also cut down, which has helped him too. And I like to exercise early in the morning. And so a good night's sleep is essential. And I feel much happier and less grumpy. I think the biggest change has been that when I've had a difficult day, instead of reaching for a drink, I now go for a walk instead. And this client has really become attuned to what serves her and what makes her feel good, and recognizing that it isn't always alcohol. There might be times that it might be, but it's not the go-to. It had become habit. Coaching has made me realize how much damage I was causing to my health. Since starting coaching in February, my alcohol consumption has massively reduced. I always now go out with the mindset that I will have a glass of wine or two if I want it. 90% of the time I stick to, this client has stuck to that. And she enjoys it more and savors it more now, that those 1 or 2 glasses, rather than drinking large quantities mindlessly and not actually enjoying it, or because it was expected of her. And she goes on to say that she loves not having a hangover at the weekends. Another client who used to drink regularly at home has now reduced to just 2 nights a week. And when she does drink, she limits herself. And she now recognizes that 2 glasses gives her the enjoyment, and the feeling of the pleasure from the alcohol is achieved in 2 glasses. And then she moves on to a Diet Coke, and she feels so much better the next day. And it hasn't affected her enjoyment of the social events. Another client has written, I've definitely reduced my consumption. Work events and social events are still a work in progress. But whilst it's a work in progress, previously she would always have a bit of a fuck it approach. And now it's a much more considered and conscious choice. And I think that's a really, really positive action. Now, from all the clients that filled out my questionnaire that I sent out, 100% of those clients have answered to the question, do you have any regret at reducing your alcohol consumption? 100% have said no. Not one person has said they regret it. They all, 100%, do not have any regrets at reducing their alcohol consumption. And then in answer to the next question, has reducing alcohol or perhaps not drinking at all at social events impacted your enjoyment? 100% of the clients asked, and there were many, have said that reducing alcohol or not drinking at all has not impacted the enjoyment of their social events. And I think it's really important to notice that, like not even 99%, 100% of clients that I asked have all voted the same, and they all vote that reducing alcohol has not impacted their enjoyment, and they have no regret at reducing their alcohol. Now, what did I exactly do to help my clients decide to reduce their alcohol? And the things that I did, obviously, every person is an individual with individual set of circumstances and experiences, reasons, etc. But as a sort of general view, first I got them thinking about why they drink. And then I helped them create strategies to recognize what they wanted, how they wanted to achieve it, and support them in reducing their alcohol. And what I want to go on to in this podcast is to get you thinking about why you drink, the reasons why you drink, and whether it's actually serving you. And a reminder that I have no judgment and I'm not anti-alcohol, and how you choose to drink is entirely your choice. But what I do want to do is get you thinking about the reasons why you drink and whether it still serves you, especially if you have health and weight loss goals, especially if you are going through the menopause, especially if you're struggling with low mood and low energy and lack of ability to want to do anything positive that supports your health. And I want to help you to just generally feel better in yourself and just think more about the amount and frequency of the alcohol you're drinking and why you drink. So these are my questions I'm going to ask you. And I'm going to put these questions in a Google form that you can fill in your own time. And also have a section whereby if you have any specific questions for me, I can answer them. So you don't need to write these questions down, but I'm going to say them out to you loud just to get you thinking. But if you click the link in my show notes, you will get access to these questions. And I really recommend you spend a bit of time answering them and writing them down, obviously on your computer, etc. So question number 1, do I drink to please others? Is there an expectation either from myself or others to drink? Number 2, does alcohol make me feel good in the short term, but does it actually make me feel good in the long term? Often, it feels great in the moment, and then long term we feel awful. So it's really thinking about, does alcohol make you feel good in the short term? Does it actually make you feel good in the long term? Question number 3, is my health important to me and is alcohol helping me improve it? Number 4, does my sleep suffer from drinking alcohol? And how does that make me feel? Especially if you're perimenopausal. This is a big question. And whether you're menopausal or not, sleep is so important. It's not spoken about enough, but it's so important. Sleep impacts your behaviors. Sleep impacts your energy and mood the following day. Sleep impacts your cognitive function, your thinking, your decision making. Sleep also increases your hunger, and it also can reduce the feeling of fullness, which is really not what you want if you have a weight loss and a health goal. So does your sleep suffer from drinking alcohol? Recognize how, and also how it makes you feel. Question number 5, am I more likely to overeat and make poor food choices when I drink, whether it be the same evening or the following day, or even does it roll on for a few days, perhaps the whole week? Are you more likely to overeat and make poor food choices when you drink? They're my questions. And I want to share with you some of the strategies that I do use with my clients to help them address what they find from these questions and the questions that I ask them as individuals. And these are some of the questions. So first of all, you need to have a plan. And I know it sounds maybe a little bit obsessive or a little bit strict or structured, but you know what? If you don't have a plan, you're not making a commitment to yourself. And I know that sounds harsh, but having a plan gives you commitment to yourself. What is your plan? How do you want to show up at the event that you're going to? Whether it's a dinner party, drinks with the girls, people coming to your house, a night out, drinks, nibbles, whatever it is. How do you want to show up? What do you want to feel? How do you want to show up for yourself at that event? Do you want to drink at that event? What will it look like? What is your plan? You need to have a plan. And if you just think about, oh yeah, I'm just going to have a couple. Yeah, I'm just going to have a couple. That's not a plan. That's you saying you're going to have a couple, but if you don't want to have a couple, you don't have to have a couple. You can just keep going and drink as much as you want because you haven't really committed. If you want to commit, you got to commit 100%, and you got to write it down, put it in your phone notes. I am going to drink a couple of drinks, and then specify what drinks. Is that a couple of glasses of Prosecco? Is that a couple of glasses of wine? Is that a couple of gin and slimlines? What is it? What are you drinking? Is it a cocktail? What is it? Be specific and write your plan out and stick to it. That is you making a commitment to yourself. And it might be really difficult to stick to it the very first time you do this. But I'm going to tell you something. When you achieve it that first time, you build this self-belief. Oh my God, I said I was going to drink 2. I went and I did drink 2 and I still had a good time and I've woken up feeling great and I did it. And if I can do it this once, I can do it again. And you build this self-belief and this confidence in yourself, this self-trust. And so having a plan and committing to the plan, sticking to the plan, showing up for yourself is going to help you build self-trust. It's really important as well. It's the time of year. We're in 1st of December today. Look at your month ahead. How many socials do you have? How many work events? How many friendship events? How many family events? What do you have in your diary? Have you listed them out on a bit of paper or even in your phone notes or on your laptop, whatever? Have you actually listed them out? You might have them in your calendar, but they're sort of splashed about and you can't see them as a list. List them out. How many have you got? 2, 4, 6, 10, 15? I've got a client with 15 events. I've asked her to list them all out and categorize them. What are they? You've got to review all your events. You've got to think about how you want to show up to each of these events. And also, it sounds really awful, but you need to rate them. You need to rate them of importance in terms of, do you need to drink at them all? Are some of those events more important for you to relax at and enjoy a few drinks at than others? Are some based more around food? Are some more in a work environment that perhaps you don't want to get legless at? and you want to keep your faculties in place. Are some events ones that you can be the driver and offer to drive to? You don't need to drink at that event. That's more about the food, that event. It's less about the alcohol. You've got to rate them, and you've got to decide how you want to, what your plan is for each event. Maybe some events you're going to make the compromise and you're going to drink the gin and slimline, or whatever, the vodka and the diet tonic or diet coke. And others, no, I'm out with the girls, I'm having 2 cocktails. I'm not having no slimline. I'm having cocktails. That's fine. Make your plan. Decide the quantity. Write it down. Commit to it. Stick to it. You're going out for meals. Is the drinking so important around those events where you're going to be eating? You've got to write it down. And it's your choice. It's not what I'm telling you to do. You have to pick and choose out of all those social events. And if you want to stay mindful of your health and you want to feel good, you do need to sort of have a plan. You need, not sort of, you need to have a plan, and you do need to pick what I call your indulgences. And alcohol is an indulgence. And if you want to stay mindful of feeling good and stay mindful of your health, you do need to look at the quantity of the alcohol that you're drinking, the frequency, whether it's serving you, the pleasure it's giving you. Is it still giving you pleasure? I know with myself, that first drink, okay, I'm a gin and slimline girl. I don't like drinking wine. I just don't like drinking wine. I like a gin and slimline. I like a longer drink. I like the ice. I like the glass. That's my drink. That first G&T, nothing beats it. That first sip, that first feeling when the alcohol goes into my bloodstream. I love that first drink. If I decide to have a second drink, the pleasure of that second drink halves. It's reduced by 50%. It's nice, it's good, but it's reduced. And I know in myself that nothing good for me happens after 2 drinks. And as I've gotten older, I don't like to drink large quantities. I feel awful the next day, and I would rather get up and smash my day and feel great and do the things that make me feel good. And I know that after 2 drinks, the pleasure already reduces on that second drink. I know that every drink thereafter, and probably for you too, every drink thereafter, but the first and the last drink, that last drink, you don't even know you're drinking it. You're way too far gone. You don't even know what you're drinking, how strong it is, what the taste is. And so the pleasure reduces. So it's really catching yourself whilst you're still aware and whilst you're still recognizing the enjoyment of the drink that you're consuming. And also recognizing that you are more than what alcohol makes you become. You are still fun. You can still be confident. You can still be sociable. You can still be chatty. You can still enjoy yourself. My clients have shared that with you, that it hasn't reduced. You can still achieve all those things without having to drink large quantities of alcohol. Work through the questions that I've asked you. Look up the sheet that accompanies it. Go in the show notes. Don't forget to do it. This is the end of the podcast. So as I sign off this podcast, go straight into the show notes. If you're driving, pull over, bring up the Google form so you know you have it. Keep it in your Safari or your whatever your web browser is. Keep it there. Answer the questions, work through it. Be bothered, because when it comes to your health and feeling good, you have to be bothered. And if you want to continue making progress and you want to be more aligned with what's important to you, and if alcohol is currently featuring high and it's not making you feel good anymore, but you don't know how to make those changes, please reach out. I can support you in the very same way that I support my clients, and I can help you. I can answer questions. Ask me questions. I love answering questions. Reach out to me. Contact details are in the show notes. And if you haven't already liked and shared this podcast, please do. Leave me a 5-star review. And if you have a group of friends that you socialize a lot with, be brave. Share this podcast with them. You'll be doing them a huge favor, and you'll be creating an environment of friends who share your beliefs, who also want to improve their health. Share it with them, and you'll be doing them a favor too. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next one.